A Battle Bill here with another video, getting some more open Ultra League Go Battle League battles. And in today's video, we are featuring one of the best Shadow Pokemon to run in Ultra League battles, and that is the Dark Poison type Skuntank. I highly recommend whenever an event comes about where it's spawning to take advantage, get those XLs, because it is a mon that needs to be leveled up close to 50, and I had a ton of success surrounding it with this very meta core of Scrafty and Jellicent. A little triple XL action, and that is why Mega Evolutions to increase XL candy from certain catches is so important, and I highly recommend it. I gained a lot of elo running this team in the Go Battle League, and I have every intention of continuing to run it after I had to, get my elo back from running some other spice things over the past couple videos of Yveltal and Xerneas, and I have every intention of running this team to the legend rank as long as Open Ultra League is around, which it is here for only a few more days. But in this video, I'm going to showcase the team comp, the ins and outs, and how to run it best so you can find some success in the Go Battle League. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let's jump right into the battles. So right now, we have our Skuntank up against a Registeel, and this is why I like the coverage that Skuntank has, especially as opposed to another Dark Poison type in the form of Drapion. Skuntank has Flamethrower, gives it some play to threaten the Steel types, whether we get a shield or just do some heavy damage to them. And now in our current circumstance, we have our Jellicent lined up with the opponent's Giratina altered. We end up playing the CMP, which was a little unfortunate, but we have their health in a good range where we can throw some resisted serves, but we ended up not CMPing. I tried to click the move, turn differential didn't allow us, and we'll take it because we got some additional farm there and got even more farm there because apparently the opponent's Giratina altered was loaded up. Thankfully, didn't have Shadow Sneak. None of those Dragon Claws were much threatening to my Jellicent's health. They come in with their Registeel. We throw a Shadow Ball. We get their last shield, and this match is all but over. We have shield advantage. We have a Scrafty. They have a Registeel. This is GG's. We come in. Our opponent decides they want to stick with this, and they top left at the absolute perfect time because, as you'll notice, the Registeel stopped attacking. That Power Punch did no damage. Either way, GG's. We win. Get into the next match. We got our Scrafty match up against an opposing Cobalion, and this is an awkward matchup because we're both dealing super effective stab damage back and forth. Our counters are hitting harder, but they're getting to their charge move a little bit faster than we are, and plus Pup doesn't do a lot of damage until we ramp up a bit. Our opponent then does Safe Swap into their own Giratina altered, and what I like to do in this circumstance is to throw a move with Scrafty before going into the Shadow Skuntank, and that is because it takes a little while to get to the crunches in this matchup, and the Giratina altered is going to be able to spam the Dragon Claws, which will slowly start to add up and do additional damage and take away from the Skuntank's health. We're letting another Dragon Claw come through here. We're going to throw our first crunch. The first crunch will not take out, unfortunately, but it still would be nice if we got a debuff. It does land. It gets the opponent in the red, and that was CMP. We have shield advantage here, so we're going to decide to use our first shield, and we're going to attempt to try and outpace into their next charge move, and we just barely do on the CMP. Crunch will either take out or get their last shield. It takes them out, and we keep the alignment we so desperately wanted to have there. They come back in with their Cobalion, and again, just having the potential threat of Flamethrower, even though we fall short, gets the opponent's last shield, which is huge. We come in with Jellicent because we're not afraid of any of the energy the Cobalion built up to throw at our Jellyfish bud over here. We don't want to bring in our Scrafty because it would take the super effective damage, and that would be far from ideal, especially because they loaded up as I get off two of these Stone Edges here. Now the question becomes, what is their last Pokemon? Will the combo of our Jellicent with low health and our Scrafty with low health, along with one shield, be enough for us to win this match? And it will be, because the opponent's last mon is a Cresselia, and we overfarmed just enough against their Cobalion before taking it out. We are going to outpace them to two charge moves. We're going to get all both of our Shadow Balls before they could get off potentially two Grass Knots, and that is going to be GG's for that match. Fantastic last mon to see that. Hey, Spider-Man meme, they're using Shadow Skuntank. I've got Shadow Skuntank in the back. When you're the Scrafty, we have to just go straight Pup, start ramping up, throw the counters. They will start to add up. We will respect their first move. They're going to essentially have to respect ours based on the way this matchup goes with the Pups, with the boosts in attack, with the counters that we're dealing. They're gonna have to use a shield if they want to get to their next charge move, which is exactly what they do. And because my Scrafty is already ramped up with its attack and has some residual energy, we're going to use both of our shields here and see what they come in with. And they come in with a Virizion. We're going to throw another power-up punch here. It's going to do some baby chip damage, and our back line does not want to see this Virizion, so it's super unfortunate they did not let us get off a boosted resisted foul play. That chip damage would have been huge, but then again, I lied. Our back line is okay with it because we have Scott Skuntank. Skuntank is here for the rescue. Virizion lead is a bit of an issue for this team comp because that fighting damage is super effective to Scrafty and the grass damage is super effective to Jellicent. But if you can line up Skuntank against a Virizion, you're not in too bad of shape. We ended up swapping, hoping to catch a Sacred Sword on our Jellicent. We unfortunately don't, but they save their energy. They don't throw a Leaf Blade, and they come in with their own Jellicent. We're ahead in energy, but we can only get a Shadow Ball off and a Surf. The Shadow Balls just do so much damage to each other, and we're not going to be able to outpace. So I make the mistake here and try to build up their Shadow Ball when all I needed was a Surf, but thankfully my Jellicent survives with 1 HP, but the Virizzion's going to get a little bit of farm off of that, which might be a little unideal depending on how much damage this Sacred Sword's about to do to our Skuntank when it comes in. Will the Skuntank survive? It just barely holds on. The jab goes through, and that ends up being GG's for that match there. Getting to the next one, we've got a bad lead. We are safe swapping Skuntank. You can essentially use either the Skunk or the Jellicent as your safe swaps. Depends on what the lead is. If it's a poison lead, we essentially want to go on the Skuntank in hopes to line up Jellicent with the poison type later. If it's a charm lead, because you know Scrafty fighting dark type going to be super weak to charm, double weak, you'll safe swap the Jellicent there in hopes to get your poison type of Skuntank onto the fairy type later on. Regardless, I digress. The opponent ended up getting a Shield Devours with their Earth Power. They're now in with the Obstagoon. We are not going to commit here. They end up throwing a cross chop. We're going to throw a crunch with their Obstagoon's health super low. It gets their first shield because they do not want to lose alignment here. So that's huge. They've thrown another cross shot. We're going to come in with Scrafty, throw a quick counter onto the Obstagoon and take it out. We do not want to go with our Jellicent. We got a little bit of lag there. You'll love to see it. And we're going to go to our Jellicent right away. And our opponent's last mon is their own Jellicent. We're sitting in a not too bad spot here because we're ahead on energy. So this is going to come down to who will land the Shadow Ball. Bang, we land ours. Are they going to throw the Shadow Ball back? Are they going to surf bait us? They surf bait us, and that is super unfortunate just based on the pure fact that they're going to end up landing a Shadow Ball on us. Now, I go for the Surf in hopes to threaten their last shield. It does not threaten it. They're going to land a Shadow Ball. We are going to Hex all the way down. Our Jellicent will survive with a little bit of health, which is nice, and their Jellicent does not get off a Surf to potentially take out ours. We end up being able to Hex down, get off a Surf, and after having such a bad lead, we're actually in a really great spot end game scenario, even though our Scrafty still ended up lined up with the Nidoqueen, because our Scrafty somehow ended up with full health and their Nidoqueen not so much. We throw one foul play. This will almost take out one counter right after. Bang. Who needs a win lead? Who needs a win swap? We still won the match. Getting to the next one, we do win lead here, and we do win swap with the G-Fisk lead. The opponent then save swaps into their Virizion. We're going to let the first move come through, expecting a Sacred Sword. Ends up being a Stone Edge. We want to be careful and throw in good timing. We're going to go for the Flamethrower here because we want to force their potential first shields or get alignment. We know that they cannot double kick us all the way down, so all we need to do is match shields, and we should be able to jab down their Virizion. We're fully expecting the Stun Fist to come in after, but unfortunately, their Virizion survives with 1 HP to get off another charge move. I was in shock when it happened in the moment, and I was in shock here also because I could have swore they only did 2 double kicks, but I'm assuming there must have been some good residual energy in their favor after they threw the Stone Edge that allowed them to do that. The opponent's last mon ends up being Venusaur, and we were in shambles regardless because the Virizion save swap lured out our one good grass answer, and Scrafty will not beat this grass poison type, and our Jellicent will absolutely not either. So all I'm doing is going through the 5 stages of grief, denial, anger. I don't know the rest of them. We're going to have to cope eventually, though, and we're going to have to top left. Battle Bill, why are you still playing this match? This match is beyond over. The levels of cope here are actually insane. Please, previous me, top left out of this match. It's not making for a good video to watch as Venusaur completely obliterate our entire line. You can't say I don't include the losses in these battles, though. And we finally top lefted. Okay, next match, great lead. Opponent save swaps into their Shadow Charizard. We match with a Jellicent. We want to throw, well, we don't want to throw right away because they're throwing right away, and we don't want to play that in the CMP because that's not good turn move timing for our opponent. So we get a free Hex, which is really cool. We get off that Surf. It does not take out. Charizard holds on, but they're not at another Blast Burn, so we're not worried about the Charizard coming through. Ends up being a Dragon Claw, and we don't want to shield anything in that circumstance because the Snorlax is going to come back in. It's going to lick us all the way down. We get off both these Surfs. It's good chip damage on the Snorlax. Scrafty might want a little bit of that help just based on the pure fact that, you know, Snorlax has access to super power, and that's going to be a super effective charge move onto our Scrafty. I like to preserve Scrafty in this kind of situation just because their last mon might also be weak to the Scrafty, and having its health could be vital. Then again, Skuntank would have countered Giratina here either way, so we would have been in a good circumstance. We would have won this match regardless. I'm just hoping to do some chip damage to the Giratina, let them throw a couple Dragon Claws, get out some of their, you know, extra energy that they're over farming in between moves, and I think we CMP'd on this one, which ends up being huge for us because now we got both their shields. We can go into Skuntank. We don't have to worry about any of the Dragon Claws it's taking. Scrafty eats them better, but Skuntank doesn't eat them too bad either, and this match is essentially over. Just like I yelled at myself in the previous match at top left, this opponent needs to do the same. They decided not to, though. They think they can come in with their Snorlax and try and get off a move. They will fail. And top left, once they recognize they couldn't even get off a body slam. Getting to the next match, we got a beautiful lead with Scrafty on their Regirock. They save swap into Giratina, and again, a lot of these situations when this happens, I like to stay in with Scrafty, throw the foul play. We get his shields. We want them to dump some of that energy before we go. They're farming all the way up to what feels like a goddamn Shadow Force. All of that just to throw a Dragon Claw. We will go into our Skuntank here, and they essentially are at like 2 Dragon Claws by this time right now. They're going to get off their first one here, and we're hoping that with some of the chip damage, some of the jab damage we're dealing, we put them into potential crunch range, or at the very least in a health range where we can land the crunch and then jab all the way down, especially if we get a debuff. Bang! Crunch lands. Doesn't really do enough damage. We're going to now match shields because we already have one of their shields. We give them our first, and then they make a really good play because of me waiting out the switch timer before, or giving them an advantage by swapping late. They end up swapping once they're able to, and then they come in with their Regirock. We land that crunch, which is great, but the Regirock CMP'd us, throws the Stone Edge. We don't want to preserve our Skunk there, so we're going to let it go down. Scrafty is going to have to core break both the Regirock and the Giratina, plus Jellicent's not going to do too bad there either. I want to throw these power punches. I don't want to counter all the way down just because I'm worried this Regirock could be running Focus Blast. Thankfully, they don't get off a move here, but unfortunately, their last mon ends up being this Virizion, and maybe, just maybe, I would have had a better endgame win scenario if I would have swapped out once the opponent decided to swap into their Giratina and I match it with Skuntank, because maybe I could have kept the Skuntank alive. Maybe it could have done some damage to this Virizion, and we wouldn't potentially be in shambles. Will we be able to pull this out? It's looking a little bit close. They are just down to their Virizion here. Thankfully, we were able to get a good amount of farm in their Giratina when they tried to swap. We're going to get off this Shadow Ball here, which will do good chip damage, but now it comes down to a race. Will Scrafty's counters add up? Will we be able to get to a foul play? The opponent is expecting a swap, so they waited a turn there. They're throwing their charge move. I was potentially going to try and catch. We're trying to get to that foul play just in time, and we just fall short on the CMP. The Virizion's going to take us out with the Sacred Sword, and that is GG's. Definitely some little things there that I could have done better to potentially win and pull out that match, but unfortunately, not every match I'm going to play is going to be perfect. Getting into the next one, we have a bad lead, so we save swap into the Skunk. They stay in with their Charizard. We're hoping they throw a Blast Burn because we want to use a shield there. They unfortunately do not, and then they late swap into their Haxorus. I don't know why they felt the need to throw that energy. That Poison Jab damage that added up on the Charizard is going to potentially bite them in the butt in the late game scenario. They come in with this Haxorus, they throw a Breaking Swipe. We're gonna get off another crunch here. We're debuffed. We got one of their shields. Will we get another shield? We do, which is huge. We want to come in with Jellicent here now, though, because we do not want our Scrafty to be taking super effective counter damage. The problem is this Haxorus could throw super effective Night Slashes. It's not. It's throwing neutral Breaking Swipes, but it's got residual energy. It's throwing them fast, and these Breaking Swipes are debuffing our attack, so we're not sitting in a great spot. We still need to take care of that Charizard, and we don't even know what their last Pokemon is. At the very least, we do have a shield advantage, and their last Pokemon is Giratina Altered. We come in with our Scrafty immediately. They swap it to their Charizard. We throw a Foul Play. This does not take out, but remember that residual damage we did earlier with the Poison Jabs from our Skunk onto the Charizard. That's going to be huge for us because the Foul Play, even though it didn't take out, we're able to counter. The Charizard only gets one move off, and now our Scrafty is going to play out the Zero Shields against his Giratina, and what looked like a potential losing game ends up being a win, even after the bad lead and the bad swap. They're going to be throwing a bunch of Dragon Claws at us. We're going to try and get off our Foul Plays as fast as feasibly possible. And then I should take a breath here and there as we sit throughout these charge moves. And then we're going to see how I decide to play this. I think they throw this charge move. I go into Jellicent. That makes the most sense. And we're going to try and Hex all the way down, which we're almost able to do. We get them down to 1 HP. So even if this was a Shadow Sneak, doesn't even take out. Our Hex takes them out. And that is GG's for the final match of this collection of battles. So yes, Shadow Skuntank, Triple XL meta team. Highly recommend it for your potential success in Open Ultra League. If you need a team, you have the resources. If you don't, and you're missing out on Stunky and Skuntank XLs, highly recommend taking advantage of that during the next event that allows you to. But on that note, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching the video, and let me know your thoughts on the team comp in the video and all that stuff in the comment section below. I'll thank you again for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.